mystic places, psychic phenomena, unnatural experiences.
Hey everyone, Jim Branscombe here, back for another edition of In the Mouth of Cinemadness, where I normally talk about movies that I watched growing up or at different points in my life that had a huge impact on me and basically helped create the foundation for what eventually became Cinematic Void. Now, I do usually talk about movies, but I think I'm going to be expanding from time to time, and this time I'm talking about books, but more specifically the commercial for said books, which, you know, if you've watched any Cinematic Void Up All Night in the Cinemadness movie or been to any live Cinematic Void event where I've had walk-in pre-shows, you've definitely seen a commercial for Mysteries of the Unknown.
Well, there just might be something to it.
Ben Randall, commenting on Time Life's popular series, Mysteries of the
I've always
Unknown.
been a little curious about unexplained phenomena.
Because of personal experiences?
What do you mean?
Well, like, for example, can you sense when something's about to happen?
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone's a little psychic, but,
What about UFOs?
I don't know. Lots of people swear they've seen them.
Ever experienced deja vu?
Sort of. Like, I went into this old 19th century farmhouse, and I just knew I'd been there before.
In another life?
I'm not ready for that.
Ready for this?
Mystic places?
Uh-huh. It's from Time Life. Talks about things like the Nazca lines. Were they runways for alien spaceships? And did those aliens interbreed with the ancient Peruvians?
Did they?
Read the book.
For those of you who didn't grow up in the 80s and 90s like I did, because, well, I'm old, Mysteries of the Unknown was a 33-volume series published by Time Life Books. It was basically a thing where you would call a number and, you know, they would send you a book. If you chose to keep it, you got to, you know, pay for it. And then they'd send you another book and you take a look at it and decide if you want to keep it or not. It's kind of a weird way to do business. Like, you have to send something, and if you don't want it, you send it back.
I know. Read the book.
Kind of complicated, but the thing about this book series is it was all about like paranormal, UFO, occult stuff. And as a kid who was kind of interested in more of the Halloween horror and that kind of stuff, my interest was really piqued by this. However, my parents, I mean, I don't even remember if I actually asked them. I just probably already knew the answer. It's like, hey, can I get these crazy books? No. Why? Where are you going to put them? You already have enough junk in your room, which is, you know, a fair point.
It happened to this man, a dream that tragically came true, a dream of his own assassination. His name was Abraham Lincoln.
Because the way the commercials were presented, it really seemed like, you know, there was things to be learned and mysteries unlocked, and it seemed like, wow, this is incredible that this book series exists.
How would you explain it? A woman in Wisconsin is doing the dishes when suddenly she's possessed by a terrifying feeling. She's positive that her young daughter has just been in an accident. She quickly makes a desperate phone call, only to learn that her feeling was true.
And I wasn't alone, because apparently it sold millions of copies of these books. However, growing up, I didn't know a single person that had any of them at all.
For real?
Read the book.
And I don't think I actually ever saw any in the flesh, wild, however you want to say it, until I was at the last bookstore in downtown LA. I happened to be there one day and I was looking through, you know, different books, and they have like a horror book section, and there was a bunch of copies of Mysteries Unknown there, and I was like, wow, I want to get them. And I was like, what am I going to do with them? I don't know. However, that put a little seed in my head where I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool to own those books? And I thought about it many times, like, maybe I'll just go back and buy some, this and that. And I just never did. Circa 2019, through the American Cinematheque, I was tasked to start doing midnight screenings down at the Aero Theater. And I wasn't really big on it because, one, I don't like staying up till midnight. I'm, again, old and I would definitely fall asleep. But I decided to make the most of the slot, and I had previously toyed around doing some kind of like USA Up All Night type of screening. It just hadn't happened. So I kind of translated that idea to the pre-show for whatever I was screening at midnight. So I was treating like a midnight movie on late night TV kind of thing. So I compiled commercials, which I have done many times for most of my walk-ins, but these were curated with specific things that you would see on like late night TV. And one of the things I threw in there was the Mysteries of the Unknown commercial, the first one.
Chicago. A man is about to get on a routine flight. Suddenly he pauses. He doesn't know why, but he's got to walk away. An hour later, the plane goes down in flames. It's dismissed as chance.
Needless to say, that midnight series at the Arrow died a really, really horrible, terrible death. I only did 4 of them. Did Eraserhead, which did pretty okay. Pink Flamingos, which did okay, I guess. Did Zardoz, which just tanked, you know. I thought people would like to see a giant floating head yelling the penis is bad, guns are good, and then puking a bunch of guns, but, you know, maybe I was before my time. And then the last one I did was Exorcist 3 around Christmas time because, you know, the It's a Wonderful Life connection. But yeah, it just didn't work, and that's fine. Not everything you try in life is going to work out. However, there was plenty of seeds of things that I could end up planting that would grow later. I don't know why I'm using gardening metaphors, but I'm just gonna go with it, I guess. Now, 2020 obviously brought on the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown. And during this time, because I couldn't be in a movie theater and couldn't screen movies in a movie theater, I started doing online screenings, which was what would eventually become Cinematic Void Up All Night in the Cinemadness movie. Now, the first movie I screened back in March, actually I think I screened it right on my birthday of 2020 when I turned 40. Yay, 40 during the pandemic. Woo, big celebration. Anyway, I showed The Midnight Hour, which is one of my favorite TV horror movies ever made. I think it's one of the best TV movies ever made. And I kind of designed the online viewing experience like it would be an in-person void. So I did a pre-show before getting the movie. And the pre-show included a lot of the things that I had used for the midnight screenings down the Arrow. And of course, you know, the Mysteries of the Unknown commercial. And during this first online screening, a lot of people were commenting like, yo, I love Mysteries of the Unknown. I have the books and this and that. And just, this was all before I started doing the Up All Night format, but because of how the response was to Mysteries of the Unknown and, you know, just using all that midnight stuff, I was like, maybe I should take these online screenings and kind of reformat it into like a late night TV movie with commercial breaks and stuff. And I put it up to a vote. It was a very close vote, but to be honest, I was just going to do it anyway, regardless of, you know, what the response was. So had it been like, no, don't do it, I would still do it anyway, because frankly, I just want to take the time and do something I've always wanted to do. So thus, indirectly, was the birth of the Cinemadness movie, all thanks to Mysteries Unknown, which was a commercial I saw a lot on TV as a kid.
Maybe it could be a dream and everybody else is having the same dream, but I'd sure like to find out what's going on.
2 out of 3 Americans have experiences that cannot be explained. Perhaps you have your own story. Call now.
Now, for the books, during the pandemic, I finally cracked and it's like, you know what? I want to get some of the books. I didn't want to get all 33 of them just because, like, I didn't really have room for them, but as of right now, I own 9 of them. And of course, got the first one, which is the first one you would get in the series, which is Mystic Places. And I think this was a library copy. You know, maybe if I was smart as a kid, I would have gone to the library and borrowed them. But, you know, these are actually really nice, nicely illustrated. Got some good, you know, good writing. And, you know, as much as it's supposed to be kind of salacious and talking about, like, the supernatural, occult, and UFOs and that kind of stuff, like, it's kind of taken in a very, dare I say, scientifically thought out way. So, kind of, these books are really cool. So, Mystic Places, also got Psychic Powers, also got Hauntings. Let's see, should have thought this out more before starting. Got, let's see, Ancient Wisdom and Secret Sex, because, you know, gotta learn about cults. Mysterious Creatures for, you know, gotta learn about cryptids and, you know, Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, and that kind of stuff. Cosmic Connections, you know, Zodiac and astrological things. Deaths and Dreaming, because I've always been interested in this kind of thing. So this was the one I was kind of the most psyched to get, and this is the one I think it was the first one I actually read through. Mind Over Matter, more psychic stuff, Witches and Witchcraft, and last but certainly not least, Phantom Encounter. So yeah, so as a kid wanting these books, I finally got them as an adult, or at least some of them. There's a few more that I might pick up, but you know, I the thing is, these books are actually really cool, and it's obviously kind of sad that people don't make stuff like this anymore. Like, you know, I think there is a market for these kind of things, especially now because, like, you know, records came back as collectible, Blu-ray is not collectible. I think the next thing that could possibly happen is the collectible market for books, and if someone did like special edition reissues of this, I'm sure people would eat them up. But that's going to wrap up this edition of In the Mouth of Cinemadness. Tell me, when you were a kid or an adult, did you always want to get copies of Mysteries on the Unknown? Do you own copies? Do you own a full set? Do you own certain books? I mean, if you do own some, tell me what your favorite of the series is. So until next time, see you in the void.
To order your first book, Mystic Places, call 1-800-233-6655. Examine every 10 days. Keep it a page at $16.99 plus $3.14 shipping and handling. Other books will follow. One about every other month. Keep only the ones you want. Cancel anytime. Call 1-800-233-6655.